Hello, Dave Dog here. We're back with a season review for hopeful Hatters, and it's as we expected. We didn't make it and save our Premier League status. In the last episode, we went down 1-0 away to Burnley. That was one of 12 one-goal defeats during the season. So a quick run through the fixtures then. We then had a lovely 3-0 win against bottom side Sheffield United at home. Everything went right in that game. Then we went to Villa and lost 2-1. Home to Brentford, lost 2-1. Liverpool away, 4-1, a heavy defeat there. West Ham at home, lost 2-0. Fulham away, 2-1. Man United at home, lost 1-0. A heavy defeat, 4-1 away to Arsenal, followed by another one, 5-0 at Man City. Then a narrow home defeat to Palace, 1-0. Another heavy defeat, 5-1 at Everton. And then we started our FA Cup run. We did pretty well in the FA Cup. We had some favourable draws. First game, 1-0 home to Shrewsbury. Then we had a game we really needed to win, Burnley at home, and it was a 4-3 thriller. Let's just have a look at the score, how the scoring went in that one. Opening the scoring was Jack Cork for Burnley in the 5th minute. That man, Del Crocs, the centre-back, made it 2-0 after 20 minutes, so went in at half-time 2-0 down. That became 3-0 after 4 minutes of the second half. Jack Cork with his second. And then we made a comeback with goals from Morris on 72, Cauley Woodrow on 79. But Sanderberg made it 4-2 on 90 minutes before we got another goal back through Cauley Woodrow. Thrilling 7-goal game, but Burnley in control for most of it. And as I say, that was a game we really needed to win if we had any chance of surviving. The next game was in the FA Cup, Cardiff of the Championship. We won 3-2. Then away to Chelsea, lost 3-0. Home to Man City, 5-1. So 10-1 on aggregate against Man City. Then another game that we should have had a chance in, away at Forest. We lost 3-0. Bournemouth, who we beat the first game of the season, we drew 0-0 at home. Another game where we should have been looking for a win. Arsenal at home, surprisingly, we beat them 1-0. That must be the performance of the season, as Arsenal finishing third in the end. Our FA Cup run came to an end at the last 16, the 5th round. Home to Bournemouth, we lost 3-2 after extra time. Let's just have a look at that one then. Barkley gave us a lead on 26 minutes. Alex Scott equalised on 56. Morris again gives us a lead on 59. Come back straight away again from Brooks on 63. Into extra time, Lewis Cook with the winner. A game we should have won. We lost Ogbenny through injury early in the game. So then, narrow defeat at Old Trafford, 2-1. Narrow defeat to Fulham, 2-1. A lot of those, we just didn't have the rub of the green. A lot of injuries. Team never got settled. That's the way it goes when you're struggling at the bottom. Another heavy defeat, 4-1 at West Ham. 2-0 away at Brentford. And then 3 draws in a row. 1-1 against Villa at home. Sheffield United away, we should have really beaten. We just didn't win these crucial games. 2-2 at Sheffield United. Then a creditable 0-0 draw at home to Liverpool. And another game, this one that settled our fate, home to Brighton. They also went down. We lost 1-0, and that was a Evan Ferguson goal after 74 minutes. Finally balanced was this one. As with most games, we couldn't find the spark up front, and it was another hapless day for our strikers. The last 3 games just really went for it in most of them. We were already relegated. Tottenham away, creditable performance, 2-1, and then we mixed the team up a little bit. If we look at the Wolves game, 4-2. Adebayo scored after 6 minutes. Lockyer made it 2-0 after 24. I thought we were going to finish our season well at home, but Sarabia after 33 reduced the deficit, 2-1 at half time. 2 goals from Cunha and 1 from Doyle made it 4-2 to Wolves. If we look at the team, new signing Kelvin Hebit Tiumhan, however you say that, started his first game. Young player we signed. Look at the signings in a minute. The other one being Patrick Pfeiffer, centre-back. Great pace, but it didn't make a great deal of difference. We still conceded lots of goals. I was hoping that if we shored it up a little bit at the back, we could get some narrow wins like we did in that one against Arsenal. And the final game of the season, away at Newcastle, 4-2. They took a 3-goal lead after 8 minutes. We reduced the deficit from Adebayo on 10. Lascelles made it 4-1 before Ross Barkley reduced the deficit and made it 4-2. Poor season. We'll just look at the table. Man City winning the league by 11 points. Liverpool runners-up, Arsenal third, who we beat. Man U fourth, Tottenham, Villa in the Europa League and Europa Conference, with Newcastle just missing out, finishing 7th. So look at the bottom, Sheffield United, no wins all season, 5 draws. How likely is that to happen? Team goes through a season without winning a game. 5 points. What a miserable time it was for Sheffield United. We finished with 17 points, 3 wins, 8 draws, and of those 27 defeats, as I've said, 12 by 1 goal. And Brighton losing out, making the 3rd relegation space from Burnley, 3 points difference, and then a big gap up to Wolves with 40 points. So I found this over 2 seasons that the bottom teams don't pick up many points. I think it was 20 odd. To escape relegation with 27 points is highly unlikely. I think last season I did it with Forest on a similar amount, 24-25 points. That's never going to happen. The top teams seem to have a big advantage over the bottom teams. So relegated, I didn't get sacked initially, but as you can see, I'm looking at this not as a manager in Luton Town's record. I did get sacked after the season finished due to supporter pressure. I think the board initially, after the season finished, said, "We understand you had lots of injuries. We're not going to do anything just yet," but fan pressure. Let's have a look at the players then. Finishing with 13 goals, Carlton Morris was our top scorer, with Adebayo second with 11. Musquat, his 9, was on loan, and Watson, he was on loan. And he was on loan. So Ross Barkley was the next with 5. Most assists coming from Ogbenny. He was injured quite a lot towards the end of the season. Ross Barkley, good signing, 5 goals and 9 assists, one of our top players. If we look at the average ratings, Tim Krul 6.99, played 17 games. Mengi, a young centre-back, played a few games for a 6.9. Ogbenny 6.9. Amari Bell, left centre-back, 6.88, and Adebayo 6.84. Some reasonable performance, but we just didn't have the strongest team out all the time. If we can look at transfers, these were the players we got in. Difficult to bring any players in, didn't have a lot of money to spend. We signed Kelvin Hebitium-Han from Reading for 500,000, rising to 750, and we loaned in the centre-back from Augsburg on a loan fee of 325,000. Other players we tried to get on loan. Emil Kraft, right back from Newcastle, ended up going to a Saudi team for less money than we were offering him. The Saudi team seemed to be coming in and taking players, even though in some cases they're not offering as much money. You could understand it if they were going for the money, but who would go play in Saudi for less money than the Premier League? Players going out, nobody of any note. Youngsters, Paisold, Odell Batur and Zach Nelson. Overall, as we said during the save, that Luton Town are more or less destined to go back to the Championship. I'd be very surprised in real life if they did survive, and a lot harder task than it was last season. So that's the end of the season review. It's just too difficult with Luton, and the writing was on the wall when we lost to lower teams, although we did have a couple of good wins, 3-0 against Sheffield United and 1-0 at home to Arsenal, but 3 wins during the season. The writing was on the wall. So thank you for watching. That's all for now. Dave Dog, goodbye.